Exciting and scared are two great things. Scared by itself's not good, and excited by itself doesn't really get you anywhere, but you put those two together and magic happens. If you can be excited and scared, magic's going to happen, right? And so I think we have to look at scared and courage as, okay, I'm on the right path. This is the way I should be. And I think we run away from those things because we're just taught to not be uncomfortable, quite honestly. And I don't know that you can do big things without being scared and excited at the same time.
Hi, I'm Carla Higgins, and this is the Double Duty Agent Podcast. I am so glad you're here. Each week, we get together and we explore the stories of successful double duty real estate agents. And from their stories, you can find the solutions to overcoming your challenges and the keys to unlocking your success. Are you ready? Let's get started. Welcome. Oh my gosh, I can't even say excited today. I was trying to think of another word other than excited, because I'm always excited, and enthusiastic. There's just not a word big enough for how I feel today, because I have the absolute pleasure of having Linda McKissack with us today. And she's going to tell you a new spin on double duty. And then we're going to talk profit share, and we'll see what else we come up with to talk about. But Linda is the regional owner of my region at Keller Williams, the Ohio Valley region. She's the author of Hold, which we'll talk about investments here in a little bit. And actually, my favorite thing about Linda, I didn't tell her this, but I have taken Fierce Conversations with Linda 4 times. So Fierce Conversations is an amazing class and an amazing book by Susan Scott. So Linda, thank you.
Truly my pleasure, Carla.
So, all right. Well, let's start at the very beginning of real estate. That's what I always like to start. And I know you have a little bit of a different double duty story.
Yes, absolutely. I was telling you before we started, I actually had never gone to college. I was probably in my early mid 20s. Yeah. I had already got in my family, nobody had gone to college. So it honestly didn't even enter my mind to go to college right out of high school. Instead, I got what I call an 8-to-5 job, which was what I always say was the first time my soul started tapping me on the shoulder to say that freedom and flexibility was going to be two of my highest values that I was going to crave and work my whole life to design my life to have more of. Because I had up until then had many jobs where you go in at 2, get off at 10, restaurants, Dairy Queens, grocery stores, things like that. And all of a sudden after 18, because college didn't enter my mind, I thought you went and got what we call a real job. So I went into one of those jobs from 8 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon and got those 2 15-minute breaks that everybody gets. And I literally was so miserable because, again, my soul was trying to wake me up and say, Linda, you don't mind working hard. You don't mind that. What you mind is a box that you get put into that says you go in at 8 and get off at 5. So I always like to say I quit that job and went into real estate, where you can go in way before 8 and get off way after 5. But during that process, I was actually in college. And what happened was I had never made more than minimum wage. I'd have 2 or 3 jobs to try to make enough money, but I had never really had any skill to make more than minimum wage. So when I had gotten divorced and then met my husband now, which we've been married almost 43 years, he said to me, why don't you go to college? Because I'd never gone. Go to college, figure out who you are and figure out what you can do. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'd never thought about that. So I go to Texas Women's University. I start my college career. And then all of a sudden, one of the worst crashes that have ever happened in the states of Texas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma happened. And I always like to say I was only in my mid 20s. So I didn't even know what the word economy meant, much less is it a good one or a bad one. But Jimmy began to stress and not sleep at night because he said, if I go to bed too soon and I go to sleep too soon, morning comes too quickly and bankers begin to call and want money from you. And I don't have that money. And so at one point he just said, I need your help. I need you to, help me get out of this. And I looked at him and said, I'm a hard worker. I haven't really found anything in college that is going to help or that I think I could even do that I would enjoy or love or make any any more money than minimum wage, really. And so it was his suggestion that that a mentor told him a long time ago, if you make a lot of money, real estate is the way to do it. And I laugh today because I'm sure that guy meant buy some real estate, sell some real estate, like that you own, or develop some. He didn't really mean get a wife, get her to sell real estate to be rich forever. But so I don't know if Jimmy misunderstood him, or he didn't really care what the man said. He needed me to go to work and try to sell some real estate.
Need some help.
Yeah, he needed some help. So again, I'd never even lived in a home that I had that we'd owned growing up. So I had no idea what real estate agents even did, to be honest with you. But I'm kind of naive like that. I'm like, sure, sounds like a great idea. Let's just do it. I am a quick start, which means an idea barely gets into my ears before I'm jumping to do it without any clue on how to do it or if it's even possible. But actually, real estate was a perfect fit. It was hard in the beginning because, to be honest with you, I was trying to go to school and do real estate, and there was no classes back there. There was no training. There was no Keller Williams with all kinds of training to help you get going. Literally, if you're lucky, you got a week before you started, and then nothing else afterwards. And quite honestly, it just wasn't enough, to figure out how to sell real estate at 18% interest rates going to 21.
Oh, whoa. Wait a minute. 18% interest rates approaching 21.
Yeah, they were adjustable arms.
That makes those 6.5 not seem so bad, doesn't it?
Well, I always say it's not that 7 or 6.5 is bad. It's those interest rates with the prices we have today. But I will tell you, the beautiful thing about anybody getting in a what we call more of a down market, it's actually a blessing, because you don't know what the norm is, and you got to figure out how to make money, and you get in there and just say, how do I do this? And you do what they tell you to do. So I actually love that I got into a real estate, kind of bust, really, because it forced me to learn skills and things on how to sell real estate when it was really, really hard. And I think that's a much better advantage than maybe someone who's gotten in and the market's just blowing away and you don't even know what's causing you to get the business that you're getting. You're just handling what's coming your way. So I actually think it's kind of better to start in a market that's tough. And so I did, and then eventually got my legs under me and found a trainer and started going to their training, and everything changed after that. It was kind of my wake-up call to realize that anything in the world you want to do, somebody out there has done it. You just have to figure out what's possible. And I think through that process, usually the worst thing that happens to you winds up being the greatest blessing if you just give it long enough and look for your lessons. But I think also what that wake-up call did for us, and because you had fears that life's going to give you some graduallys and suddenlies, right?
Yes.
We don't wake up until the suddenly. And so for me, the suddenly was we could not cut back our expenses enough ever to be enough that we would have to go after more. And I think I'm thankful for that today, because I think a lot of times we get complacent, or we think everything's good and we don't go for more. And I think going for more of anything in life is good. Number one, it's okay. We get taught sometimes it's not okay. It's important because you never know when a gradually and suddenly is going to happen in your life. And it's possible once you understand that I need to always be achieving more.
Yeah, pushing forward, and
Mm-hmm.
the next one, the next one, the next step. I love that. Okay, so I know a little bit of the story, but so you leave college, you start your real estate career.
Yep.
You build a team.
Yep. I actually left college with 6 hours to graduate. Even tried to go back at one time. My professor at the business department said, gosh, just try. And I was so busy. There was just no way to do it. So, but it never really hurt that I didn't graduate. But then, I built a team. And, I'm the kind of person that if I see somebody can do it, I'm just going to go ask them, what did you do? And I'm going to do what they did. Right. And so that was the blessing of finding the trainer. And even if I had to fly to California, which is what I had to do for the training, because there was no local training back then, I would just fly wherever and get whatever information or training I could get, come back and put probably 10-20% of it in place, and my business would just get better and better and better. And so, built that. And then Gary Keller, we actually we got recruited by Keller Williams. We joined Keller Williams. They were Keller Who in my town. I was the number one agent in my city by this time. Nobody knew who they were. It was a big risk to join them. but I saw enough in the concepts and the beliefs that I believed in that was better for agents than anything else. So joined. And then within about 4 years, our broker wants to sell her Keller Williams to Century 21. And
Well,
I didn't want to go back to Century 21 because Century 21 was flying around the country and we had 51% market share. And anybody who'd market share, they were trying to write them a check and gain that market share.
oh, wow.
And so because we had 51%, they approached her and she decided she wanted to sell to them. So we didn't really want to leave KW, but we didn't want to go back to Century 21 either because we'd already been there. And so went out on our own for just a brief little stint. And I'll never forget, and I always remember this as a leader, and I always do my best. If I hear of anyone leaving our company, I try to make a phone call to them because I remember how important it was that Keller called us. And he was willing to make a call to us and have a meeting with us and convince us that we should, when she gave up the franchise, we should actually own it, which wasn't in my plan. I didn't really ever wake up and go, you know what I want to do? I want to own that office and do all that. So, I didn't have that on my radar, but he made sense when he talked about it. And so we wound up opening that franchise back up after she sold to Century 21. We took the Keller Williams franchise in that area and opened it with us and one agent. And then we're still going strong and number one in that city ever since. But yeah, so that kind of put me on a leadership path for Keller Williams and my team. Accidentally, yeah. And I was doing about 200 transactions a year. So I was selling quite a bit of real estate, but I had put a really good team together and I was pretty much taking anywhere on average about 18 listings a month. So my job was take the listings. I had transaction coordinators, I had listing coordinators, I had buyer's agents, I had all of the above. And then Gary tapped me on the shoulder. We actually opened a second franchise within about 30 minutes. And then Gary tapped me on the shoulder and said, there's one region left and you've earned the right. I think you should go build it. And my naiveness again said, how hard can that be, right? Sure. After I learned where Ohio was, I said, okay, now what do I do? So I started going up to Ohio 1 week a month and knocking on doors of top agents and saying, I've got an opportunity and I'd love to talk to you about it. So that's how I wound up meeting you, Carla. Is I always say my second family that I love to spend the time with besides my own family is my Ohio Valley family, because we've been in the trenches together for 20 something years now.
Oh, that's so good. I didn't know all of those little things. That's so good. You know what? Somebody told me once that success comes when opportunity meets preparation and you're willing to say yes. And Linda, you just say yes.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I'll get calls from people and say, well, how did you do what you did or whatever? And I say, well, have you ever been presented with an opportunity, and they say, well, yeah, I have. And I say, well, what did you say to it? And they said, well, I said no. And I said, well, I say yes, that's the only difference. And I don't even think, honestly, be honest with you, I don't even know that preparation has ever been there. I'm sure you've probably heard Dana and I talk about on our podcast, the 4 C's.
Yes.
I always say, if you want one simple method of how to make your life big, you have to go, and anybody who's ever gotten into real estate can relate to this. You have to go make a commitment that scares the heck out of you. And that's going to take courage and the reason it takes courage is because when you make that commitment, whether it's get into real estate and decide to make a career out of it, quit your other job, whatever it is, it takes courage, and courage is not a fun place. It's uncomfortable. And the reason it's uncomfortable is because you don't have the capabilities to pull that commitment off yet. But you will get busy and figure it out. And then you gain a whole new level of confidence that you didn't have before you made that commitment. But the problem is we go from that confidence to a place called complacency, and we stay there way, way, way too long. Way too long. What we should do is immediately take a breath, give ourselves
something else that scares us,
and then go find another big scary commitment. That's honestly, that if you had to sum up what you did, that's exactly what I did over and over and over again. And even to this day, I still try to find things that, I have a lot of limiting beliefs when I'm thinking about doing or trying to do it. And I just know to ignore those, that everybody has them, and I can listen to them and decide, why I can't do that or shouldn't do that or whatever. Or I can just continue to keep moving forward and fail my way forward. And, you learn in motion anyway. You don't learn by standing still. So just get in motion, go some direction,
I love that. You mentioned the podcast, Everything Life and Real Estate. And you guys that are listening, if you do not have that on your playlist, you need that on your playlist. That's Dana Gentry and Linda together. And it's so fun. It's so fun. So
Thank you.
good. I never know what it's something new all the time. And
Oh,
and
yeah.
it always sparks something for me to think about or something for me to go back on. All right.
Yeah.
So we built a region, the Ohio Valley region. And I'm so thankful for that, because if without you, I wouldn't be at Keller Williams. And without Keller Williams, I don't know what I would be doing. So thank you for that. Gratitude, much of it. So you're building the Ohio Valley region. And I imagine I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it just tongue in cheek. Super easy, right?
Oh, yeah. It's real funny. I'm not really a quitter. I'm really tenacious, but all of us have those moments when we think, gosh, what am I doing? Can I even do this? And I had that moment pretty far after I'd been going into the region. And mine's more about responsibility to other people. I never want to let anybody else down. And so I was having one of those moments when I thought, I think I'm just letting Gary Keller down, Mo Anderson, my family, everybody. I just feel like I'm letting them down. And when you have those moments, there's only a few people that you can call and say, gosh, I think I should just quit this. I think maybe I'm not the right person for this. Maybe I can't do this, whatever. And so I happened to call a fellow person who was building another region that could totally understand
What the pain.
what the pain was. And I'll never remember when I finished telling Joe this, he said, well, you know what, Linda, you can't quit. And I said, I can't. Can you tell me why? Because I really need a good reason. And he said, because you never know if you're on the 5-yard line or the 50. Mm-hmm. And I will never, ever forget that conversation, because it gave me just enough hope to go back out there. And sure enough, very shortly after that, I got my first market center to say yes. And so I always think about that when I think about quitting. But I think tenacity to me is a more important skill than so many other things, intelligence and everything else, because I think most people don't win because they don't stay with it long enough. They don't stay in long enough to get across the 5-yard line.
Yeah. What do you think tenacity is a skill that you can build, or do you think tenacity is something that we all innately have and you just got to find it?
I think we all have it. And I think it has to be tied to something that is really uniquely something that gives you joy. I mean, I said, what else could I have done for 3.5 years? I pay to do it. I don't make any money. And I never even bother to think, you know what? I'm not making any money doing this. To me, that's when you know you're doing something that is what you're wired to do, or you're here to do. Right. And so I think it has to be something that you feel. I think you're going to get to a certain place in your life and you're going to know that you're done. That's the difference as giving up and quitting on something that you're so passionate and that you know is the right thing. And that's why I always say, you should always keep walking through the next natural door, because I think ultimately it's going to get you to the thing that is more about significance. And if you bring enough value to the world, you don't have to worry about the money. The money will show itself up. It's bringing the value in an area that you feel like you're uniquely wired to do, and that you could do it forever and never get tired of doing it. And you don't even worry about how much you're getting paid to do it. Right. And so I don't think you jump out of your first job and get that. I think you get yourself there over time by watching those moments when you get so much energy when doing something, or you get chilly bumps when you're doing it, or you think, God, this is the best thing ever. Right. And so I think people cheat themselves because they don't really keep going through next natural doors to get to that place.
To get there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about passive income, because I know that's a very something that's a big passion for you, and it's not something we've really explored with the listeners yet, and super super important. So I remember once. I've heard you say it several times, but I remember the first time you said it, it kicked me in the stomach, and it was the comment about your last closing is your last paycheck. and I got my real estate license when I turned 50. It was my midlife course correction. And I thought this was the thing. And then you said that, and I'm like, oh no, wait a minute. Let me think this one through again. So can you talk about passive income?
Well, I love it when you know something you can't pretend you don't, right?
Exactly.
So, I've had quite a few of those wake up moments myself. Yeah, because, and again, going back to the worst thing that ever happened to us was the greatest blessing, is because it made us realize that you needed more money than whatever your career or your job or whatever was going to give you. That one stream probably wasn't going to be enough, that graduallys and suddenlies will happen in your life, right? And so I'm so thankful for that, because we've never not had a backup stream of income in case one stream doesn't work, or God knows the industry changes completely overnight from regulations or who knows what. I mean, you just don't know. And I think because we got that wake up call so early, we were blessed to think, okay, we can't just sell real estate, and we need multiple streams of income. And what are some in real estate that we can still do real estate, but at the same time add those multiple streams of income? So while we were still $600,000 in debt, we had read Robert Kiyosaki's book, Cash Flow Quadrant. Now, most people read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it's a great book, but it's really the cash flow quadrant that gives you the answers to the problems that we really have about creating wealth and passive income. And so we had read that book and realized, okay, all of our money is coming from the left side of the quadrant, which is being a self-employed person. That left side is employees or self-employed, and most everybody's going to listen to this is one or two streams from one or both of those, right? And so he explained that wealthy people get their money from the right side, which is businesses making you money or assets making you money. And we had $0 coming from that when we read that book. Part of why we, were in the crash that we were in, right? And so that was our wake up call. And so we said, okay, well, of these, we don't really like stocks and we don't really understand them. And if you don't know something or understand something, you're really not an investor in it. You're a speculator in it. And that's where risk lies. So we didn't really want to do that. We'd just gotten burned from him owning businesses. So that wasn't something that just we jumped up and down for joy to go do again. So real estate investing was the one that looked like it would be the easiest to do. And so after reading the book, I'm one of those people that once I kind of know something, I always say, when you sleep or when you're in the shower or when you're running, you kind of get the ideas of, okay, this is what we need to do. And this is, we're going to figure this out. And then I feel like God kind of opens up doors if I'm watching. And that's what he did. I went on a listing appointment and the house was in terrible shape. That already moved out. And the guy said, I really would like to just sell this to an investor. And so I went home excited and said, oh my God, Jimmy, I found a house and we can. Now, back then we were ready to just flip the house because we weren't into holding them. But I said, I think we can flip it and make 15,000. And Jimmy said, that's great, Linda, but where are we going to get the money? And we can't go to the bank. You can't go to the bank when you own 600,000 and go, can y'all give us just a little bit more? But I went to sleep that night. And when I woke up the next morning, Lou Craft, one of my builder's names, was on my brain. And I said, I'm going to go ask Lou, and I think he will partner with me. Sure enough, went and asked Lou, and he said, yep, what do you need me to do? I said, well, all I have is my commission. I don't have anything else. I'll throw that in. You can fix the house up. We'll pay you a decent fee for doing that. And then when we sell it, we'll split the profits. And when we sold that house, a girl in my office worked with the REO properties, and that's the foreclosed properties at the time from Savings and Loans. She called me and said, Linda, I have a property close to the University of North Texas and they want $15,000 for it. Do you want to buy it? And I went back to Lou and said, can we keep that 15 and put it into this house? And we wound up putting it into a house that he could turn into a fourplex real easy. So we did that on another property close to the other college in town, flipped the first one. That left us with two. And when we split up our partnership, I said, we wouldn't be where we are if you hadn't helped us. Which of these two properties do you want? And we'll take the other one. So he took one and we took the other, and we were off to the races. By that time we were getting to pay down our debt, because they would come to you and say, we'll take 30 cents on a dollar if you can just scrape up the cash and, pay us off, and let's get this off the books. Because there were so many people in trouble. Oh, yeah. They had to start working with people the best they could. So that's kind of how we got started in real estate investing. And we've probably bought and sold over 300 properties, or had, that many properties. And I think today we're down to about 70 single families. And we had 34 vacation rentals, but we just made a sale to Hilton Vacation Retreats for 25 of them. So now we're going to go back and build that back up again.
Oh, wow. That's exciting. Well, yeah. I love what you said. the comment, I want to go back to that for just a second, where you said that, you decided what you wanted to do, and then God just opened the doors, or universe just opens the doors for you. I think so many people are afraid to step through the door.
Yeah. And it is scary. I mean, again, we go back to that courage thing. When we need to teach our kids and we need to learn, courage is good. Being exciting and scared are two great things. Scared by itself's not good, and excited by itself doesn't really get you anywhere, but you put those two together and magic happens. If you can be excited and scared, magic's going to happen, right? And so I think we have to look at scared and courage as, okay, I'm on the right path. This is the way I should be. And I think we run away from those things because we're just taught to not be uncomfortable, quite honestly. And I don't know that you can do big things without being scared and excited at the same time.
I always consider that. I think a lot of people feel fear, and that's what stops them.
Mhm.
And they say, you don't have any fear, you're so courageous. And it's like, no, I have fear. You have to have the fear to be courageous. So the fear and the courage go together. You have it too. Just
Yeah,
grab a hold of it, right? Just grab
yeah,
a hold
yeah,
of it.
yeah. Feel that fear and do it anyway. I think there was a book like that years ago.
Well, so real estate's one stream of passive income. And then can we talk a little bit about profit share?
Sure, absolutely.
Now, real quick, we may have listeners, probably we have listeners that aren't at Keller Williams. So I just want to preface this real quick and say that this is what we're going to talk about right now is just Keller Williams.
Right.
And if you'd like to learn more, we can absolutely share this with you. But Linda, I'm going to let you
Yep.
tell your story on profit share.
Yeah, well, actually, it's my favorite thing I do. And the reason it is because number one, none of us are good enough to make a seller sell, a buyer buy, or an agent join. So I don't even go in with that pretense on any of them. But what I love is when someone self-discovers that this is the right place for them, with me helping them self-discover that, it changes their life. I mean, it changed my life, and I'm sure, Carla, it changed your life. And I want to do that for other people. I don't want to say, well, oh, okay, my life's changed. That's plenty. I really want to help other people do the same thing. And so recruiting to KW allows me to do that. And so it's kind of been a natural gift I've always had. That's why I think I was a strong listing agent, is because I like going out and helping people solve a problem that they have. And so in KW, if you do that, anywhere you recruit those people to that office, if it's profitable and that person produces that month, you get a profit share check. And so it actually wound up being one of our largest passive streams, which has been over $1 million since 2015.
$1 million
A year.
Yeah.
Yeah, a year. And so it's just one of those things that I had a really bad day in real estate one day, and I thought, gosh, I need another backup plan. And they had been talking and talking and talking to me about profit share, and I didn't want to hear it, but I was open to it that day. And Gary challenged me to go do a pro forma and treat profit share as one of our streams of income, as if you treated it like a standalone business. And I had to fly to Seattle to work with somebody who understood profit share way better than I did. So I taught how to take 10 listings a month forever and how to build a team for his offices. And he sat me down and made me understand where profit share money comes from, how it works, how you can build a pro forma on it. And once I did that, I was totally convicted that if I was going to be a leader in this company, I needed to really understand the importance of profit share and show people and believe it myself that it could be done and treat it as a standalone business. And then that's kind of what we did. We just really put a plan around it and just really, I think when you believe in something so much, and I always say I worked with thousands of buyers and sellers in my career. Not a one of them ever called with tears in their eyes and said, thank you, you changed my life. Yet with profit share, because I have recruited people to the company that have truly taken advantage of all the amazing things that KW has, I've had those calls, and they say, thank you, with tears in their eyes. You changed my life. You changed my family's direct trajectory of their lives. And that just feels good, And so profit share has been one. Real estate investing on single family homes and vacation rentals have been the other. We have some commercial buildings. We pretty much stay in the real estate world because we really haven't had to step outside of it for any of our multiple income.
It's the only industry where we're allowed to have insider trading.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so true. So true.
Very fun. Well, on the profit share front, I have to say I was very excited. So 5 months this year, and it rotates, and that's why it's 5 months. But 5 months this year, I had a large enough profit share check that it was more than my mortgage payment, and
Yeah.
that was very exciting. So I have a little Dennis O'Brien. You know Dennis.
Yep.
Dennis is number one in profit share in my market center, and I'm always number two. And I'm like, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. So it's fun.
Good job. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. So it definitely the gift, and it was something that was a surprise
Yeah.
because the first time it showed up, I was like, oh, I don't understand what's this for. And I love it when agents call and they think that they've been charged.
Yes. A lot of
And
people do that. They'll say,
I
well, you're taking this money out. And it's like, no, they're putting money in.
the credit. You got money. Well, what for? That's my favorite thing. I love that. Linda, so most of our listeners are double duty, what I call them double duty agents, dual career, or maybe they have something else. What do you think is the most important choices that they can make as they're traversing both careers or their job and being a full-time mom or being a student like you?
Yeah. Well, I think just remember, God only gave anybody 24 hours. He didn't give any single person on this earth 48. And so I think sometimes when we can think that way, then what we have to think is if somebody out there is accomplishing what I want to accomplish in that 24, I got to figure out how they're doing it. And probably means I'm going to have to be very efficient with my time. I'm going to have to think about time differently, about how important of an asset it really is. Because I do think if we take a calculation of our time over a 2-week period, we can find the time to do anything in the world we want to do. We're just using it to do something else, right? And so I think it's super important. And it's also important to know that when you go for anything big in your life's going to be like an accordion. It's going to get out of whack. To say that we all want to be in balance forever is not realistic, right? But what we have to do is we have to get it back in as quickly as possible. In other words, yes, I'm going to be out of sync. And maybe you even explain to your family and your kids for a little bit of time, I'm going to be out of sync. But when you are going for something big in life, it's going to do that, but I'm going to pull it back in as fast as possible. I'm going to get it back into those boundaries as quickly as I can. And I've had to say to my kids before, what goals do you want when we accomplish this? Because we're all going to sacrifice. When I started going to Ohio 1 week a month, I sat my kids down and said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going up there to get people to do Keller Williams Realty. You're going to have sacrifices just like all of us are. What would be a good goal for you when we get this accomplished? Because it's a team effort. And my son wanted a trip to bring his best friend, which by the way is now Nick, who is number one growth share person. Yeah. But he wanted to bring Nick to the Atlantis with us. And then my daughter wanted Invisalign braces, and that put them on the same team as me and them excited and almost to a deficit, because I would go home and they'd go, anybody do Keller Williams yet? And I would say, no, not yet. So I didn't know it was but it actually works. Right. And so bring them along. Don't
you had little mini accountability partners is what you had.
Sure. Your personal balls are like glass balls, and any kind of work thing is a rubber ball. It'll bounce back. But your personal, it's breakable. So you got to treat it that way.
I love that. Okay. Priorities, very important. How about actions that are important for double duty agents? What do you think the most important action they can take is?
Well, talk to everybody. Learn a real quick line, because apparently you're doing dual because you're trying to get one to get up so you can let go of the other. So you got to do double duty on talking to people. And I would say, learn this line, you might be good in my business. And then they have to ask you, well, what's your business? Well, I'm in the business of helping people buy and sell real estate. Have you ever thought about a career in real estate? Now that's a compliment to somebody. And by the way, at Keller Williams, we win if they say yes. But if they say, no, my mother's looking for a house though, I win that way too.
I love that question. Oh, Linda, there's the magic gold nugget. Everybody, you got to go write that down. Rewind and listen to that again. Write that down. That is so good. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And it's a backdoor way instead of just asking somebody if they have any real estate needs, because if they join, that's fantastic. But 99% of the people never say, oh yeah, I've been thinking about selling real estate. They say, my sister's looking, my mother's looking, I need one. They at least have an opportunity to get a real estate transaction out of it.
Oh, Linda, that's my new favorite magic question.
All
My
right,
favorite
there
magic
you go.
question has always been, who do you know that might need some help with real estate? Now you've given me my second favorite. Oh my goodness, that's so good.
Well, here's the thing. I would rather them say yes to that than to tell me they got real estate to sell now,
Yeah,
because I know how
profit
valuable
share.
profit share is.
Exactly. That is amazing. I love that so much. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. You've just blown me away. Okay, last one is mindset shifts. So, double duty agent, what mindset shifts are going to be required?
I think you all have limiting beliefs. And so I think you have to just know that they're there, and you can choose to either let them hold you back, or you can figure out how to just give it a try anyway and see if the belief is really true. Because I think so many of us take beliefs that aren't true and we make them true.
Tell ourselves stories.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
horrible storytellers.
Yeah. Yeah. So just know that limiting beliefs are going to be something you have to always battle, but test it, see if it's really true, or if you're just letting it be true in your mind.
I love that. Well, Linda, is there anything else that I didn't ask you, or something that you would like to share with the double duty agents that are listening today?
I would just say real estate is the greatest career on this earth. I truly do believe it. So many amazing things are possible when you get in control of how much money you make and what you do with your time. And so I would just say push forward, don't give up, and just understand that real estate is one of the great opportunities still left for people to decide their own fate and their own destiny and their own amount of money that they're going to make.
I love that. Life by design. All
Yep.
of that. All right. So, Linda, they can find you, I know, at Everything Life and Real Estate, which is a podcast they can find wherever they listen to podcasts. And what's the name of the Profit Share podcast?
It's called Profit Share Mastery Podcast.
Profit Share Mastery Podcast. We have a book that's called Hold,
Yep.
which is all about the income. So if you're interested in learning more about passive income through holding real estate investing, then that would be good for you. How else might they connect with you, Linda, if they wanted to learn more?
That's a really good question, and I never know the answers to that. So just go to lindamckissack.com, and on there it should have all the places.
That's where the freedom number is too, right?
The freedom number worksheet is there. I also have a little booklet that I made, List to Last, that's there. And then we have one called Presentation Mastery for Realtors. That's an old book that we did. So all of that will be on lindamckissack.com.
See, I love that. We're already past Christmas, and we're still getting Christmas presents, Linda. Thank you so much. I cannot express my gratitude enough for you spending time with us today.
My pleasure, Carla. Keep doing the great work you're doing. Everybody needs it that's struggling out there to do dual careers.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us for this incredible episode of the Double Duty Agent Podcast. What an inspiring conversation we had with Linda McKissack. Her journey from navigating double duty challenges, just like you, to building multiple streams of passive income. This is just proof that anything is possible with tenacity, the right mindset, and the willingness to step through the next natural door. Linda reminded us of the power of courage and commitment, the importance of treating time as our most valuable asset, and how real estate can be the ultimate vehicle for designing the life that you love. Her insights on passive income and profit share gave us a clear roadmap to financial freedom, and her advice for double duty agents emphasizes the importance of your choices, your actions, and your mindset shifts in balancing it all, counterbalancing it all. If Linda's story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on how you can apply these lessons to your journey. And don't forget to check out her amazing resources, including the books, podcasts, and the tools, including the Freedom Number, available at lindamckissack.com. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Double Duty Agent Podcast. Was this the way to start your year? If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a 5-star review and share it with someone who can benefit from Linda's incredible wisdom. And as always, I'd love to hear your questions or challenges. Head over to Double Duty Podcast and share them with me. Until next time, keep showing up, keep striving, and keep building the life and the business of your dreams. I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you're leaving inspired and you found a key or two you're going to try out this week to see how they help you to unlock your success. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single story. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, you can find me at doubledutypodcast.com. That link is also in the show notes. Until next time, have a productive week.